All right, guys, welcome to today's Local Yokels podcast. I'm Neil Colley, your host. Thank you for joining us. Just want to give a quick little shout out before we get started here with the primary sponsor of the show, RoofWorks Roofing Company. Good friends of mine. I always want to mention them. They help me in everything I do. But if you'd like them to look at your roof and maybe give you a quote, it's free. They do excellent repair work as well, and they can give you all kinds of advice on how to, take care of your roofing needs. So you can reach them over at roofworksmidsouth.com and or call them at 662-303-0345. Again, thank you, Randy, Kay, Josh, everybody over there. I appreciate it. So now, as always, I like to mention my group, Feed My Lambs. That's the ones I'm dearly close to. Real quickly, if I want to get Derek Michaud, my producer here at SRP Studios, to post up the picture that we're building this truck right now for Feed My Lambs. We're going to give it away in October of this year. You'll start seeing advertisements once we get it done, probably closer in July, to where you can buy a ticket for the Feed My Lambs program. It all goes towards feeding the kids. Every penny of it that we raise for this truck is going to go towards the program to buy food for these kids. So, however, minormemorial.org/lambs, or you can reach them at 662-781-1333 if you want to sponsor a child or just get some information, volunteer, somehow just get involved. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you. And without further ado, we have maybe DeSoto County's, I'm going to call you a rock star. You're everywhere. So I'm just going to call you that. Stacy Dodd. Yeah. So welcome, Stacy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I asked you the other day, I was like, where do you get the energy, man? You're like, same place you do, Neil. I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, you're even older than I am. That's even more important.
Hey, watch out now.
Yeah. But I just find it amazing. Like, you're just everywhere, Yeah. And I appreciate you taking time out to be a part of the show. We had talked about you coming on. We talked about some things. You're like, well, man, I'm ready when you are. I got a few things I want to talk about. And I'm like, well, I'm ready when you are. Yeah. And we will get back to how you know me is through Coach Camp, for Motivated with Coach Camp, that podcast. He's part of your board member with your Hope Center. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Derek's involved in that big thing too, and I'm sure at some point in time I will dive right in behind them at some point in time, because it's an essential, amazing program for our community, and you guys do amazing work for that. So real quickly, we'll talk about the Hope Center. Okay, let's talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, so the Hope Center is a nonprofit. We've been running and operating since 2014 in DeSoto County.
Yes.
We recently went into Tate County and did our first youth leadership conferences.
I seen that a while back. Yeah.
So we focus on mentoring at-risk youth, all youth, 3rd through 12th grades. We don't turn anyone away for any reason. But we are part of the Mentor Memphis Grizzlies Foundation, which is the national mentoring program.
Sure.
So we are certified through them.
Which, by the way, that's extremely difficult to acquire.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's not something you just walk up and they go, yeah, here you go. Yeah. You got to go through a couple of years worth of vetting.
Training. Yes, sir. We in 2023, I did 270 hours of training with them. That's in-person trainings.
Yeah.
And you have to do recertifications at least twice a year. So it's kind of like in the mental health field or the healthcare space, it's kind of like a joint commission inspection.
Sure.
So they come in, they want to make sure you're monitoring, make sure you're doing background checks, show us you're doing this, show us you're doing that. And then when you do that and you pass that certification, then you can qualify for grants. You can qualify for to use their logo and different things like that. But the trainings is one of the most beneficial things to us, because it's really trained us what a mentor is, how to mentor, how to keep it safe, how to keep it efficient, and what really matters.
Yeah, make it impactful.
Oh, yeah.
All right. But anyway, as we were talking about with the Hope Center, it's an essential program. Takes a lot of training and vetting to be involved in some of these huge programs like the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a huge organization. I mean, we know it's NBA, right? So your affiliation with them really matters. And they help you guys.
It does.
They help y'all.
It really matters. And just being able to use their logo alone is a sign of trust and integrity and things like that. And, we started doing our youth leadership conferences, which is kind of like a John Maxwell leadership conference, with the catalogs and a served lunch, a plated lunch and a really nice facility. And it's not about playing games or anything it's about the top leaders in the community speaking their life lessons into these young kids.
Sure.
Right? When they failed, their biggest struggles. And the more that we're on we're doing Hernando at 1 Memphis Street on May 31st from 10 to 2. That will be our 6th leadership conference in the past 2 years. And we got 2 more coming, one in Horn Lake and one in Horn Lake, and Olive Branch. So those are going to be really big ones this year. We just did at Brown Baptist, just hosted our first one in South Haven this year. We had over 200 kids there. Sheriff Tuggle, Mayor Musselwhite.
Everybody was there.
Oh, it was great.
You name them, they were there.
Debbie King with the executive director or the president of the Chamber of Commerce in South Haven. And, it's been really, really good. I'm getting to go do a presentation on May 29th in Jackson, Mississippi.
Cool.
At the Hilton, they're having a big conference, a peer conference for the whole state of Mississippi. So I get to go and I get to present on mental health impact on youth violence.
Wow.
So I have a whole slide, slow in a presentation, and talks about
you're well rounded. I tell you that.
It talks about the youth violence, like what impacts a kid's mental health. And so there's social media, there's substance use, there's exposure to violence, like when they see the fights in schools and those kind of different things.
Which is a lot now.
Oh, it's huge.
Everywhere.
It is.
Sheriff Tuggle and I were talking about that on that episode. It's the fights. It's out of control.
I think our youth are the key. They're what we need to be focused on. It's the key issue. I mean, it is.
It's our future.
It really is, and they're so smart. And I believe they can be leaders in the 5th grade. We're getting ready to do some trainings. We're going to do a networking thing with the chamber, where we're going to start teaching our kids how to network. We're going to start teaching them how to public speaking. We're going to start teaching our young kids, 7th, 8th grade. They're going to start doing public speaking. They're going to start doing networking. We're going to teach them lots of really, really cool things.
Because it's a rare thing. I think you would agree, Stacy, for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Geez, even an adult sometimes to public speak, right?
It's the biggest fear. It's one of the biggest fears human beings have.
Absolutely. For some reason, I don't know. I don't remember being able to do much of it. I don't remember having a fear. I just probably didn't have to do a bunch. But somewhere in my early adulthood, I guess I had a job or something. I had to talk to a few people at a time, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I just got used to it. Now I just meet no strangers. I don't care where I'm at. I'll talk. I don't really care. But that's not everybody. I get that, and so teaching that early, giving them confidence, letting them know that they have a future that maybe in details that, maybe if you're management or something like that, it don't matter where you work, you're going to have to public speak at some point in time. So, so.
I was terrified of it in high school. I remember taking an F because I wasn't going to do it.
You just wouldn't get
that
up.
Book report can just.
Man, if your teacher could see you now, Stacy, you're everywhere. Man. It's amazing. Yeah. So now, look, I don't want to slide that to the back. We got a lot to get to today. So the Hope Center is an amazing program. And real quickly, people that want to get involved, helping from a volunteer standpoint, or maybe helping with donations, or when you have an event, maybe they help set up for it. How would they get involved? Do they reach out to you personally, or you do?
They can always reach out to me personally at my personal cell phone, which is 901-484-8429. That's 24/7.
Yeah.
And then they can also always go to Hope Center, USA.com. So Hope Center, USA.com.
And we want to give a shout out to our good friend Kenneth McKinney. So he's not here with us today. I did talk to him last night because he's going to be doing my mother's celebration of life.
Okay.
I asked him to do that for me. He did not know her, but her energy is very similar to him, and he's in the school system.
That's so great.
And so he said he'd be pleased to do that. So I got him doing that. It'll be over by the time this airs, but I just want to tell him thank you.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
He's your co-partner in this whole Hope Center thing. I think people realize that. And he alluded to me that he's probably going to be last year. Yeah. He's going to be done. He's going to be done principal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know he was that old.
The thing about it is God has a lot of work for him to do. So he's just finishing that one project.
Yeah, he did say he's got a new opportunity coming around. We won't talk about that. But however, shout out to him because I know that between the two of you, y'all have started this, got it to where it's at now, which is a huge, amazing program, helping a lot of children. So thank you very much for that. And anybody that wants to get involved, like I said, man, just ask. They need help. Yeah, they need mentors. They need, it could be a one-on-one scenario. If you got some kind of background in health, education or mental health with children, I'm sure they would love to talk to you.
Whenever we do matching, so sometimes we have natural matches. Sometimes we have work, where we match, we look at their application.
Skill level. Yeah.
Right. And we say, hey, this person comes from a broken home.
Yeah.
This person, has dealt with different kinds of sicknesses or different kinds of things. And so a lot of times the mentors are matched up with what they've been through.
Sure.
So some of the things you've been through, or maybe some kid wants to do what you do and you become their mentor. And we make it really easy. I mean, it is
it's easy to get involved.
Very easy.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and I think that's amazing, man. So you take time, not only are you mentoring them, but you may be helping an adult that needs that service in their lives to feel complete.
The families. Yeah. It helps the families as much as it does the kids. We don't. So the Hope Center, we're very we follow our processes according to the Grizzlies mentorship certification and things like that. And so we never say, drop your kid off.
Oh, no.
I tell them you cannot drop your kid off.
It's probably a smart play.
We bring the families with us. So if we go bowling or skating or out to eat or whatever we do,
everybody comes.
Everything's paid for through donations. So we can all go out and go bowl. Sometimes we have 60, 70 people bowling.
Wow.
And we go to Lost Pizza and have pizza or whatever we do. Yeah. But everybody's invited. And so the grandmothers that have adopted their grandkids, the mothers that are single mothers in cases, sometimes single dads, they get to come with us and
enjoy
it
the
helps
whole thing.
them because they're making new friends. They're seeing their kids.
Yeah.
It gives them a break sometimes,
all that stuff. I just think it's a well-run. I applaud both of you for starting this program. I know we talked about the origin story of the Hope Center back on our first episode, and I was just like, man, that's crazy. Like those guys were meant to meet each other, because it was so organic in the standpoint of where y'all actually, you were there for a different reason, and he just stood up.
A lot of people think that. And so it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of people think the big giant building is the answer.
No, you told me that.
A $10 million building is what we need. And then we need $500,000 a year to staff it.
Sure.
And then we need another $400,000 for utilities. I mean, that is not the answer because if you notice these days, when you get big crowds together, you have issues. You have fights, you have shootings, you have different things. And so supporting small business, it makes it more exciting for the kids. They're not going into the same gym every day.
No, something different every time.
They really look forward to it. And man, it's turned into something really good. We started out wanting all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
we wanted the building and all that stuff, and we ended up. God took us down another route, and I'm glad He did.
Well, you're putting your resources to providing for them in a sense to where they may not experience that. If you had a building, you'd be limited on the experience they could have because it'd be the same almost every time.
I really want a hub, like a boardroom with a little office, but not a big gym or anything like that stuff. But I really want a boardroom. That's one of our dreams is a mentoring hub.
Sure.
So where we could bring investors in to the boardroom, show them on the big screen what we're doing, why would we be worth investing in, the impact we have in the community.
Well, as you speak of that, I think maybe it may be on the horizon for you. And you know why I tell you that?
Why is that?
Because from your day job at Woodland Recovery, that's what I want to talk about. People don't know you from Hope Center. They will know you as you have been around here for a long time. You work for alcohol and recovery, mental health, things of that nature at Woodland Recovery. And they just happen to be building a new $25 million facility in South Haven. They might even allow you to use the boardroom somewhere else.
They might. You never know.
So just through the gift of the fact that you do so much for them, maybe the company says, "Hey, Stacy, this is yours to do your Hope Center thing with," or something. So that'd be great.
Yeah, they do get involved in a lot of different. That they want to be involved in the community and different things like that. So they do a lot of different things, clothes drives and different things like that. But very involved in the community. Bradford Health, which acquired us recently, has been the greatest thing that's ever happened in our 10 years at the Recovery Center.
Sure. Now you can talk to people a little bit about what you do there, like what's your goal, what's your drive. Why? I mean, you're like I said, you're everywhere, but I know that is a passion for you.
And so my passion. I believe our passions are born through our pain, through things we've been through, and I was a homeless addict. I was a latchkey kid. I was raised by a single mom.
Didn't you tell me you're smoking at 7?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Marlboro Reds.
Marlboro Reds. Yeah. Holy cow, man.
And it just escalated. But I went to school. Everything looked normal from the outside. Had a job at 16, had a nice 77 Oldsmobile Cutlass, had a great teenage life, had it, worked, played sports and all those things. But behind the scenes, I was smoking weed and sneaking around doing things I shouldn't do. And it ended up in a really bad place. And so I hit a severe rock bottom. I write about it in a couple of my books we're going to talk about in a minute. But I got to a point to where I didn't even know why I was alive. I didn't want to live anymore. I had let my family down. I had let myself down. I felt like I had let God down. And I'm like, why am I even here? Mm-hmm. And God brought me back from all that. And I was able to come back from it.
And you spent a hot minute doing it too. Like, let's talk about how long you've been in recovery. And we'll talk about kind of how old you are to give people an idea how long you were down in that bottom.
So I've been in recovery. I just celebrated on May 1st, 25 years.
25 years.
So 25 years. I've been working at Woodland for 10.
Yeah.
And I got clean at age 33.
So folks, that tells you how old he is. And he was on a path probably of a good 20 years of spiraling and probably a good healthy 15 years of hardcore
addiction.
Yeah.
We're talking crack, cocaine, meth.
Everything. If you could smoke it, drink it, whatever is going in your body.
It's going in.
And I don't mean to make light of that, but that is a true, like that may be one of the worst cases I've ever heard. You know, like when I talk about people, usually have a choice, drug of choice, right? Like they're just like a meth head, or you just like, I was doing anything that could make me feel different, right?
Yeah.
So.
And what that has done in my life now, what that has brought into my life now is number one, it's unconditional love for them.
Sure.
I don't care what their name is, who they are, how they treat me. It doesn't matter. But it's given me a better understanding of why I know why they do what they do, and I also know how to help them because I've been at Woodland just to speak of Woodland, I've been there for 10 years. Right at 18,000 people have came through my program, and I've got some of them I get in, a lot of them I get in treatment myself, but I've gotten to meet them personally. And so they call me, mom calls me, they call me on the phone. I get probably 20 calls a day. I'm not kidding.
I believe that.
And all kinds of problems. I mean, parents are at their wits' end. They can't do it anymore. You know, they're even done enabling. You know what I mean? They're like, I can't do it anymore. Yeah. And but I know it's going to be okay. We just have to follow the same steps, and so we have to get the chemicals out. Yeah. And the chemicals are the problem, not the person.
Right.
And once we get those chemicals out, the person on chemicals is the problem.
Yeah.
So if you were addicted, you on chemicals is the problem.
Every time
we get the chemicals out, you're okay.
Yeah.
It's all gonna turn around.
You just got to learn to fix the craving for the chemicals. That's the whole truth. So, and I know that you personally, and I know this for a fact because I've had people tell testimony to me about it a couple of times. Like, yeah, that dude will give you his phone number. He'll answer the phone call at 3:00 in the morning, and because you're in such dire straits to help the child or whatever, you know, or their loved one or husband or wife or whatever, they just can't do it no more. The enabling is over, like you said. You know, it's either they got to go to jail or go somewhere because we can't deal with it. And
jail works.
It does sometimes. Yeah, you don't want to get it there. You want to ask Miss Ann about that. Like,
I've got a few that I've been working with for many, many years, and one just got arrested last night, thank God.
Yeah.
And I called his mom on the phone, and she was like, I said, he just answered our prayers.
Yeah, a little bit.
I said, he didn't die.
Yeah.
He's in there. He's getting 3 meals a day.
That's right.
And he's safe.
And I think with that, like what I was trying to get at is like you're always wanting to help. And it's so unusual. Like I'm sure your wife, a lot of time we talked about this, how our spouses can be like, oh, okay. You know, like they take a breath because they're like, holy, how am I going to keep up with this guy? You know what I mean? Like he's just everywhere. So, but I know it has to be a part of her passion too for you to follow this because you can't do it without a good, strong spouse, you know?
Yeah. So my wife is my backbone. She has, when I met her, man, God sent an angel,
Stacy.
Stephanie Dodd.
Okay.
Stephanie Dodd. She is my wife, and she is a wonderful person. She is the angel that God sent into my life. She's exactly who I needed. We've been married, 15 years now.
Congratulations.
And she's a realtor now. She works for Grant Homes out in Arlington, a wonderful organization, Grant Homes. And she really blessed when God led us to Martha and her team at Grant Homes. And so she became a realtor. Yeah. And now she's licensed in 2 states. And awesome. She does really, really good. But when we first met each other, she accepted me for who I am. She knew my story, and she loved me anyway, and in spite of all that. And so over the years, she needs to not understand a little bit about why I went. Like why is he going to the jail twice a week? I mean, what's he doing? You know what I mean?
My wife wonders that about me with some of the stuff I do. Yeah,
and I think she thought, it was about me. And then over the years, she learned or she saw that it was what God wanted me to do. It's what I was supposed to be doing. And so now she goes to the jail twice a week.
Oh, that's amazing.
She works with Miss Ann at Precious and Pink. She's on
First of all,
board.
let's give Miss Ann at Precious and Pink. If you guys don't know that organization, look it up. This is an individual lady. She don't have a big power corporate company. I'm not knocking Stacy's deal, but he's got a for-profit company that pushes him to help these folks. Miss Ann is like maybe the most grassroots thing there is in this whole region. And she has no formal training, but she has such a high success rate of dealing with these people. But it's ladies that come straight from jail. And sometimes they have to be asked to be a part of her program. Sometimes they're told they're going to be a part of her program from a judge that says, yeah, you can leave, but you got to go with her.
Yeah.
And it sometimes like leaving jail is going to a different jail with Miss Ann because she's really strict. And but they love her. We did a show, and I mean her success rate is really big. And you guys look that up. As something too, they always need toiletries, donations, food, whatever you can help them with. This woman's really doing it out of her pocket. She's got a lot of help at times for sure, but their house burnt down. They're just now getting it rebuilt after like a year and a half later. Yep. She's been posting pictures about it. They're putting up all kinds of sheetrock and stuff. So I'm really pleased with them. So shout out to Miss Ann. We're really thankful to have you in our community. And I know Stacy thinks the world of you, but your wife's been helping her. And so she's learning a new path. Yeah. You may at some point in time, your wife may be the next Miss Ann.
I've thought about that.
That'd be pretty cool.
It's pretty signs. I mean, she anything Miss Ann needs, my wife's in the car.
You got to go do it.
She's on the car to get her. And I'm like, and so the same way that she supported me, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do if my wife didn't support it.
Yeah, man.
And the way she supports it is she just lets me do it.
Yeah, well, she just like, I know he's going to do it anyway. So, I mean, he'd be balled up in there probably.
But she saw God's hand behind it a long time ago. When she fully understood that it wasn't me, it wasn't about me. Like I'm the least most important person in my story. I really am. And I learned that. And when you learn that it's not about you, when you learn that, doesn't matter who we are, when we learn that it's not about us, that's when God starts doing big things with us. Because it's about those he's seeking. It's about the one that's struggling.
Sure.
I feel it's like the one who needs to feel the love. I mean, if your kid was here on this earth and you weren't here to help him, would you want him to help? Would you want someone to help him?
Absolutely.
And so when I go into the jail, I'm like, I don't care what your name is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love you no matter what. Nothing you can do about it, right? And when they finally realize that, then for the rest of their life, they call me and they send me text messages if they're struggling or a friend struggling or family member struggling. They can sense. People can sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Whether you care or not.
Yeah.
And they know if you do and they know if you don't.
Man, I had seen the thing the other day, and I said I'm going to start using this, so I am going to repeat it again. But like I was talking to Melissa DeBar, a good friend of ours, and I said something I seen that was really impactful. The way I look at life is I don't have an agenda. You know, right. I got help and love. That's what I'm trying to bring in. I don't need anything back. I just need you to be better. You know what I mean? In your life, like just try to help yourself. Because I am rich beyond means with my family. Like that's how I see it. You know, I had a wonderful mother and upbringing, brother and wife and kids and all that stuff. You know, so like I want other people to enjoy that style. You know, like it's there for everybody. You just got to make better choices. You know, I believe that being able to be led by whatever your higher power is, whatever it's God or the universe. I think mine's coffee. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. But once you learn how to be led every day by that, so you're not fighting anything, you're not forcing anything. And once you learn how to walk in the Spirit, like, let's just say walk in the Spirit. Sure. Then every day is a supernatural adventure. And it's wonderful. I mean, God has led me to so thousands of people. Man, that's a lot of folks, man. No, thousands. No, I'm talking, and that's an understatement. But he's led me to all these people, and each one is intentional. I mean, Melissa, Bobby Scott, Miss Ann, Kenneth. Definitely Kenneth. Like that was the most organic meeting of all, right? I mean, I just wondered. I just walked right in there. Yeah. And there he was sitting there. He's waiting. Like, now who are you looking for? And apparently you, sir. I didn't know it, but now you. Yeah. And so when you realize I believe it's intentional, and when you realize that, it's like when my phone rings, it's not just someone calling. No. It's a bigger picture. Right. And it's usually about their loved ones, their parents, maybe their kids. I mean, it always has more to do than just with that person. Sure. Right? You know what I mean? It's not just about, like the Hope Center's not about Stacy Dodd. No. You know what I mean? That's it. I just get to do the work. That's not. You got to be the face of the program. Right. Woodland Recovery is not about Stacy Dodd. But you got to be the face of it. That's right. That's the same thing. Yeah. You have to have trust. And because you can't help someone that doesn't trust you. Yeah. And they can't trust you if they don't know you. Yeah. So when I go to jail up there or do church up there twice a week or go to the jail, I'm going in, I'm meeting them like in person. You know what I mean? And telling them they're important and God loves them and he's got a plan for their life and they're not going to win. No, absolutely until they surrender. Not. And you probably see the same faces over and over all the time in there until eventually some of them step up and go, you know what, man, I'm ready for you. Like I finally am ready. Right? I tell them if they don't surrender and they keep using, God's going to jack them up. Jack them up. Yeah. They're going to have car wrecks, get beat up, no job, no money, no family. They have relationship problems, financial problems, career problems, health problems. Yeah. And until we quit using the chemicals, he's not going to leave you alone. And I turn it back around on them being I turn it back around and I make them the star of the show. Yeah, absolutely. And because they are. I mean, God is seeking them because of what they've been through. For success. So they can help other people. Sure. Like all their pain, all their shame. So what you just said made a song come up in my head. Johnny Cash. Uh-oh. Cut You Down. Uh-oh. You know what I'm talking about? Have you heard that song? I think I have, yeah. Sooner or later, he's going to cut you down. You've heard that. So, like, you can run on for a long time. I think that's about drugs, actually, where he lived that life. I did a post about him, a picture post about a week ago, and it says, it's him. And he said, I haven't found anything more fulfilling than knowing that the Holy Spirit of God is building, or the kingdom of God is building within me.
He was really cool. A lot of these.
And hey, he may have been the worst abuser of all. Like, he was kind of like you. I think he would just about do anything to get high. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and to come back from that and find a life of sobriety, especially in the later part of his life, where
a lot of my friends back in Joplin, Missouri, where I went through all my high school years, and then my homelessness was all in that city, Joplin. I had a 2-year battle in downtown Memphis in the 90s, but my main life was back in Joplin, Missouri, and so a lot of my friends back in Joplin, they're like, "That's a miracle."
Yeah, you're a miracle.
They knew, because they saw it.
They seen you at your absolute worst, man. I bet you there's things. I mean, it's so easy not to pass over that. You know the story, right? Mm-hmm. Only you know that, and I'm sure people witnessed it. Mm-hmm. They're just like you said, they said it's a miracle. It's true enough. It probably is. They probably seen. I bet you there's many times they're like, "Poor Stacy. Like, what are we gonna do?" Yeah, he's gonna.
They used
die.
to come and look for me. Some of my friends would be like, "You okay?"
Yeah.
My dad would come find me, and I'd be in the woods or wherever. And,
man, I couldn't even imagine that. I mean, dealing with my child like that, I don't know what I'd do.
Well, my dad became my best friend the last 15 years of my life, and no matter where I was, no matter how bad it was, he would come and he'd tell me he loved me.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, "I know you can make it. I know you can do it."
Yeah.
And he told some of my other family members, I said, "I know he's going to be all right."
Yeah.
I didn't look like I was going to be all right, but somehow he knew.
You probably didn't feel like you was going to be all right either at the time.
No, I was not all right.
Yeah. Well, man, look, I know that story's been 100 times. You've had to tell that 1,000 or 10,000 maybe, because that's what makes you who you are. And it's kind of like you're out here and stuff. And, Woodland Recovery obviously is a super big, very powerful company. They have a lot of resources. So whether it be mental health or whatever it is you need, they're there for you guys. So I implore you to reach out to Stacy, because I know he knows what he's doing. And we talked about some of the other organizations that you team with. We need 2 or 3 or 10 Woodland Recoveries. We need 2 or 3. We need 10 Precious and Pinks. We need 10 houses of grace here in this county. We need 10 sober living houses. We need, just go on and on about the needs, because there's such an, I don't think people realize what's going on behind closed doors in a lot of homes. You can
drive down Goodman Road or drive down Commerce over here, and everything looks fine.
Yeah.
But, like this morning, I was in a hospital in the ICU doing an intervention at 7:30 this morning.
Wow.
Because one of our local friends called me and had somebody that needed help. And so I go over there, get up real early, drive all the way, a long ways away, and I go into his room. Yeah. And he's 62 years old, about to lose everything. Oh, man. Alcohol, which is one of the worst. It's one of the worst things I deal with is alcohol. Believe it or not, it's worse than fentanyl.
You tell me that.
But anyway, people don't see that. People don't see the calls all day long, 20 calls a day where people are needing help. People don't see it because it's hidden. Yeah. Even in the hospital, when you walk in the hospital, you don't know there's 20 people in there right now that have overdosed. Yeah. Or because it's not publicized.
Right.
Even these rural towns. I have hundreds of accounts all over the Delta. So I go to all these little hospitals, all of these drug courts, and and meet with first responders, and it is a huge problem. Yeah. If you were to take right now Lakeside, Parkwood, Woodland, okay, just those 3, and you were to add up the number of patients they have every day, it's probably 1,000.
That's a lot, man.
You know what I mean? And but they're all in a treatment. Like last week at Woodland, I worked with the DeSoto County Sheriff's Department. Right. And they came up and they brought their DeSoto County sheriffs and they played our patients in volleyball.
I saw that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was amazing.
We cooked out but I'm trying to teach. I want them to know, and I teach them this every when I do church up there. They're not the enemy. For sure. The police officer's not the enemy. No, they're trying to save you. And I want to give a big shout out to Sheriff Tuggle, because up until recently, this would have never happened
before
if there was another leader. Right. I don't feel like anyone would, but he promotes that kind of stuff and he wants us to be involved. He's came to one of our recovery walks at Landers Center at Veterans Park about a year and a half ago when he hadn't taken over sheriff yet, but he had won. Mm-hmm. And he texted me at 6 a.m. He's military. He's like, "Am I supposed to be with you today?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You still want me to come?" I said, "Oh yeah." And so we had about 200 people in this park. Nice. A really nice park, Veterans Park, and we were doing a recovery walk. And so he came, and we had some opening speakers, and he talked for about 20, 30 minutes, told him he loved him. Yeah. And told him that he's there for him, and that we're going to support him, and that we're here for them. Yeah. And not only did he do that, he stayed and listened to every testimony. Wow. And he talked to almost every one of them. And that politicians don't do that.
No.
He's not a politician.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I would have stayed for the whole thing, to be honest with you.
He's not a politician. He's a leader.
Well, I think it's just genuine. He's a good person. I've got to know him just a little bit, man. He's a genuinely good man. You know what I mean? He beyond the office. Yeah. He
does things that other people wouldn't do as far as trying to teach the community. And I do the same thing, probably not on his level, but I want us all to work together. Right. Like this works together with all of this. Everything we talked about today, you and Derek, y'all are like huge when it comes to kind of letting everybody know we need to work together.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a community effort. Yeah. And I think one of the things that Sheriff Tuggle talked about a lot was just how much he loved DeSoto County. Like,
I do too, man. How can you believe what we're experiencing?
Yeah, I don't either, man. Like the growth, like he grew up in a time here, like me and you were implants a little bit. We've been around a long time, but we've been here a little bit. But this guy grew up in Hernando. You know, that's where he's born and raised, you know, and so he's seen it when it was like in its infancy. The whole area was like pretty small. And now the explosion, how do you manage it? Yeah. Well, you have to do it through caring and the laws, you know, kind of keep things in check and protect us. But obviously drugs are going to infiltrate the system. And he's got a path to where he's trying to guard the young ones to keep from getting involved. And then we got to find a path through you and others, like places you mentioned earlier, about how to get them off of that when they become adults, to where we can get them back into society as good contributing members of the community. That, you know, you can have a past. There's no problem with that. We all got them. Yeah. We all make mistakes. You can make 10 of them. If you're a good person, you can overcome it. I promise you.
One of the things I do I've grown into it. I didn't know it years ago, but I didn't know it was going to end up like this. But I teach them how to fix it. So I talk about, you know, it doesn't matter what's happened to you. Yeah. Right now, it doesn't matter whose fault it is.
That's right.
We're going to fix it.
That's right.
And so we have to get clean. No more chemicals.
You got to get that out.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, tell the truth. Number three, you got to go to work.
Yeah.
And I teach them, if you don't have a job, we're going to have problems. You know what I mean? And so it all works together really good. I mean, this community, like when I'm talking to our patients, I'm like, there is no better community that you could be in the United States right now.
I believe that.
I mean, we got 2 lazy rivers coming.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
Is that amazing?
It is amazing.
Every corner you look at, there's jobs. I mean, there's everything here.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not working here, it's kind of choice. You know what I mean? Now, I know there's some places where it's like, well, I don't want to work fast food. Well, I mean, it's not really designed for an older person. Things are costly, and because people are moving here, because we have the safe environment. You know, I know that sometimes we think it's worse than it is, but in reality, it's very safe. It's fairly cheap compared to the national average. I know we think it's high, and it is, but it's getting higher because we do have people moving in to take advantage of our good.
When we get rid of that state tax, we're going to be doing good. And I will tell you, I'm on the board of directors at South Haven Chamber, and we had 3 police leaders, executive leaders at the police department. And they came and spoke to the chamber board of directors, and they were talking about the stats, the data. And I've asked Miss Debbie, the president at the South Haven Chamber, if they could come to one of the luncheons and share that. Yeah, the crime has gone down in South Haven.
I believe that
year after year over year. Yeah, and when you hear how they operate, so this guy was over operations, this guy was over the special investigation. I mean, and when you hear their stories about how they operate, it's phenomenal.
And they have to be that way. I mean, they do. It's the only way they can keep it from coming over. I mean, I know we talk about why the crime, we know what the overflow is, but people in Memphis get sick of that. But it's a reality, folks. Like, it's not coming from any other place, not coming out of outer space.
That's right.
They're coming here for a reason. So, you know, I know there's other elements coming from the Delta and things of that nature. Sheriff Tuggle and I talked about that, but ultimately the high majority of the problems that we're having are coming from the Memphis.
They are, area, but the drugs also come from everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The drugs come from other countries. They come from, you know, down I-40, down I-55. But when you leave your house, you're going to see a DeSoto County Sheriff, and you're going to see some police. Yeah. I was down at the Memphis, downtown Memphis last week, and I was going around introducing myself to homeless people at the shelter.
That's amazing.
And giving them some candy and telling them, hey, my name's Stacy Dodd, whatever. And I said, I got this program if you ever want to go to the program, because they're at the hospitality hub, so they need help.
Sure.
And they look mean, but they're really not.
Yeah, they're scruffy. They haven't had a bath in a minute.
And so they said, is this in Mississippi? I said, yeah. They said, oh, we're not going to Mississippi.
Oh, man. You know, we talked about that, like that whole premise of how people that are
because of the police.
Yeah, it's the laws are different. And so they know, don't come down here, and especially don't come down here after dark. You know what I mean? They're aware of that. Sheriff Tuggle and I talked about that.
Yeah, you're going to get searched and drug dogs coming out.
For sure, yeah. And all of our citizens are armed. You know, that's another thing that kind of helps protect things. But, you know, getting back to the whole premise of what you do it kind of turns into your path. We always know Woodland Recovery Center is amazing. You're building new things there. You're building a whole new facility that's getting ready to break ground, if not already.
Yeah, they're pouring concrete, I think, this coming week. They're supposed to be open by May next year.
Awesome.
That's going to be 100 detox beds, custom built, like a brand new hospital.
Yeah.
That's going to... We should be the premier treatment center in the Southeast region of the United States.
And we need more.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. Like, they could build a 200-bed facility, and it probably wouldn't be enough right now because there is such a need, and people are having to ship out of state to go get help and stuff. It's right here, folks. Yeah. Like, if you reach out to Stacy and things haven't worked so far, I think this is a good opportunity for you to reach out for him. And maybe it ain't a one-size-fit-all. Maybe the person, but he can point you in the right direction to a good facility that he trusts, that he knows. We were talking about our good friends Jake and his wife that run different programs. We talk about, I know even though they're competitors like Parkwood, stuff like that. You're aware you need this network in order to make sure you put people in beds at times.
Yeah, so Parkwood, I was at Parkwood last week.
Yeah.
They send me patients. I send them patients.
Absolutely. It's a network.
Baptist, East, Baptist, DeSoto, all day long.
Yeah.
We work with Region 4. We work with everybody. And people don't know that. People don't understand. Like, when I went through recovery, there was like a 30-day program in Joplin, Missouri.
That was it.
And that's where you went.
And they put you out when you're done.
They did. And it was crazy. But people don't understand. So what I know because of what I do, not because I'm smart, because of what I do.
Yeah.
There's programs for everybody. If you're clean, there's a program for you. If you're using, there's a program for you. If you have Medicaid, there's a program for you. If you don't have insurance, there's a program for you.
Right.
But you have to know where the programs are.
And that's where you come into play.
That's where I come in.
Because you know it all. Yeah.
And then it's back to the person has to do it.
Yeah, that's right. They still got to step up and be willing to do the work because as I've thank goodness I never had any issues like that, but I've witnessed it. They're not getting help till they're ready. They have to be ready.
You can't really force it.
No.
That's why when I do my interventions as a national certified interventionist, so I do direct interventions in homes and jails and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I never tell them what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
I never tell them what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I say, hey, my name's Stacy. I got this great program. You deserve to have a better life. Let me know when you're ready. So I plant that seed and then I walk away. Then some things happen. The financial things, legal things, family things, and pretty soon I keep their name on a list.
Yeah.
I've got an MIA list, I've got a hot list, and then I've got a jail list. And so they always call.
Yeah. And you don't give up on it.
It may be 3 months, but that name's coming off that list.
And I realize that something talking to you briefly is time. We've gotten to know each other a little bit just through Chris and these guys, coach camp, as we talked about. And you don't give up on them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like there could be, like we talked about, you pulling up one day and there's a lady running across the field. She done escaped again, and you go try to get them. Sometimes it's not successful, but like you bring them back, and when they're ready, they go back through the system, or it's all love, right? Like it's trying to, it goes back to like I'm just trying to help you. So
I'm not ever giving up on them. And what I tell them all the time, I can outlast you.
Yeah, because you're sober. Yeah, that's the big thing.
I'm going to be fine. You're the one that's going to be in trouble. And so whenever, one of the reasons I don't give up on them, and I wrestled with why many times, I still do sometimes. But it's because when I ended up in a very dark place, there was no one there. And I didn't have anyone. I didn't have any visits for 14 months.
Oh, wow, man.
And through all of that, God did amazing things within me that I didn't know till 10 years later.
Wow.
But that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
It didn't, when I was addicted, I didn't care about people. I didn't love people. I was wandering from one meth lab to the next or one set of woods to the next. I was just wandering lost, and people were not anything. And now, people are everything. And,
well, you see the good in everybody, and you kind of like probably spot the BS, when they come at you. And you're like, hey, buddy, I've seen that. I used to be that guy. I was telling everybody the same story. It don't work. Yeah.
They are, the way I look at it, for sure that they're all someone's child.
Yeah.
And, I had a pastor,
sister, something, like there's loved ones out there looking for them.
When I first started doing Celebrate Recovery, I had a pastor, Denny Burt. He was my pastor in Celebrate Recovery. When I first started doing ministry, first started leading, I was horrible. I was horrible. It was horrible. And he said, he said, Stacy, you know one when you see one because you are one or you've been one.
That's a good point.
I know why they do what they do.
Yeah.
I know that it's not them.
Yeah.
When their family calls me and says they're stealing or they're doing these things, I say, that's not him.
Wow.
That's him on the chemicals. And when we
Right.
get those chemicals, he's going to be all right.
Sure.
And you can let God use you just by telling someone it's going to be all right.
Well, you got to, like, I mean, you know.
It's going to be all right.
The only thing is you got to get to them quick enough to where they don't hurt themselves or somebody else.
When families call me,
yeah,
they're sometimes crying. I had one this morning, a school teacher, DeSoto County school teacher, called me, just devastated.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep my composure.
Sure.
But I'm kind of smiling because it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be okay.
You're like, I can fix this. I can help you. Yeah, like that's great. So with that being said, I want to point out to people like where they can reach, like you want to give it a shout out to Woodland Recovery, their where you can reach information on the web, or is there a number you call there if like they don't want to necessarily, like bother you? I know you're not bothering Stacy, by the way, if you see this show ever and you go, hey, I don't want to call that guy. You can call him. He will answer.
I want you to call me. That's the way you can help me.
Yeah.
You can help me by leading me to the people that need help.
Yeah.
And so that's my passion. That's what I love to do. And so I have mayors call me with their family members.
Sure.
I have judges. I have everybody call. Most of the people in the community call me, but I want you to call me 901-484-8429. And I can steer you quickly. I can make it quick. I can make it real easy for you to help your loved ones, just because I know where all these programs are.
Yeah, because like under, addiction and alcoholism, some of the things I look at, like you always say you can assist with a lot of things. I want to be detailed about what it consists with. Interventions, relapses, enabling, denial, homelessness, recidivism, where they go back and forth to jail all the time. Medical detox, which is maybe one of the worst things ever. Yeah, I mean, it truly is.
We have the nurses, yeah.
Yeah, you got everybody in place for all that stuff. It's not just him, by the way. He has a plethora of people behind him to make these things happen.
Massive team.
Yeah, yeah. Residential treatment, PHIOP, what is that?
Partial hospitalization and intensive outpatient. So they come in to detox usually. They do 7 to 10 days of detox. Usually they stay in the program for 30 days, and then they transition over to PHP, which is 6 hours a day. Then they go to IOP, which is 3 hours a day. And so we're transitioning them back. One of the things that Woodland does that is very unique, and it's one of my favorite things in the whole world, we do Zoom calls every day.
Just to check in on them.
Yeah. So anytime you admit to Woodland for the rest of your life,
right,
you can join Zoom calls from your phone, from your laptop at no charge.
Right.
And we do AA, we do NA, I do Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christ Center group. They join my church service on Sundays.
Yeah.
But they can be at home. They can be where they don't have a car, where they don't have any resources, and they can join these meetings, and it's on Zoom. It's really amazing.
Sure. So it's like going to AA meeting, but you ain't got to go.
We stick with them for life. Whenever they become part of Woodland, we stick with them for life. It's no more 30-day stuff.
Right. It's forever. Like if they need support, just an ear to listen to, or some confidence building conversation, or something. So, all right, same day admissions. Like, so if you got an issue, we can get you in there today. Sober living house. So you got that. That's something important. We talked about we need more of those in the community. Christ centered recovery, which means faith-based program, or if not,
if
like you don't have to be. Like it's not a must, but it is there for you if you're into that, and lifelong friendship, as you had mentioned about that. If you're in the system, you're in it forever if you want to be.
Yeah, they text me all the time.
Yeah. And then they got permanent solutions, like just to like, maybe you don't know what it is you got going on. It may not just strictly be drugs right now. It could be the aftermath of what mentally has happened to you because you've used drugs for all the years. I mean, I guess we see that, the mental health side of it. You've got access to plenty of people on staff to help them with that as well. Yeah.
So the addiction, like my addiction, it damaged. I've got some damage, from all those years and different things. You have to be aware of that. And these support groups in the community, AA, NA, they're wonderful. This community is like loaded with everything you need.
I got a friend of mine on Facebook. I won't mention his name, but because I hadn't asked him that, but I hadn't talked to him in a while. But he's always posting. I think he's a recovering alcoholic, and he always talks about the meetings almost nightly. Because please come join us, because he understands the recovery process is so important and where he's at in his life. So. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely. If he sees this, he'll know I'm talking about him probably because we're friends. But I want to applaud people for that. Like just keep pushing the information out there. I know it gets redundant. Some people are like, man, not that guy again. You know what? I don't care. Like one of these days, somebody's gonna hear it that needs it. You know what I mean? So about that. But now look, from that, you're doing amazing things with Woodland Recovery. We're gonna jump into the maybe the best topic of the day is you're not only all those things, you're an author. You wrote books. How many books now you got total? 3?
4.
4 total?
And thinking about number 5.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. So we'll get into the most recent one. We talked to the Backpack and Beyond, right? Mm-hmm. That's the one that kind of the premise. I'm going to hold it up if it don't glare off too much. Yeah. But you guys can reach out to you if they want to purchase this book. Where would they go to?
You can go to Amazon.com or you can go to StacyDodd.com.
Okay, good. So they can get the information. He has others here with him. I know we got the Outcast Executive and navigating the high and narrow road from addiction to executive level leadership, which is kind of your story, like where you're at in your life. And I'm sure you'd never seen that for yourself in a million years from where you're at.
See any of this stuff coming.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. But what we did talk about today, and part of the reason why you really wanted to come on the show is to talk about a big project you got coming up personally. Yeah. About all this stuff. So tell me about that.
So many years ago, I thought my story wasn't important, and it's not gonna matter. And through Celebrate Recovery and my life, I learned my story. Some people like my story, right?
Yeah.
So I started sharing at local Celebrate Recovery, shared it in my church, shared it in front of 1,300 people, and I started being blessed, and it started really, taking me other places. And so I decided, I'm just going to write my book, write this book, just so I have something. In case I die, I want to leave it, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't want to leave it untold. And then, so now when I give it away, when people, it talks about enabling a lot. So lots of families, people in jail, people in prison, people in Parchment, people in the recovery center. I give it away every Sunday night. I don't charge. I give it to them. Yeah. And so then I wrote the second one because I was going into being a CEO and I didn't have a master's degree and all these things that I face in the workplace. Right. So I had all these feelings, so I just wrote it. Sure. Right? And I've got an archaeological discovery in Joplin, Missouri, which is called the Old Route 66 Zoo, which is registered with the Smithsonian. So I have an actual archaeological site. Wow. That's actually documented and it's wonderful. Nice. And then recently I decided, everything that's happened since my first book, basically what I've learned, what God has taught me to be absolute truths, and then what I teach them when I do jail ministry, when I do church at the facility at Woodland, it's all elective. So in the jail and in the Woodland, when they come to church, they have to sign up for it. Yeah. Nobody tells them they have to go. Right. So I wrote the last book that's everything I've learned throughout my whole life. Right. And it's some really cool spiritual principles about addiction, about free will, about the garden, about why do we keep repeating? If you're a good person and you love people and you have good intention, why would you keep repeating? And so I've tied all that in with the gospel and with spiritual principles and the kingdom principles. Sure. And so it's been very beneficial. They love it. They absolutely love the message. It came naturally. I didn't plan it. And so probably, I'm just guessing, about 2 years ago, this amazing man showed up in my life, Coach Camp.
Crazy Coach Camp. Motivator Coach Camp. I would like some music to that because they always got some kind of intro song they play on his show and Derek's when they do their shows. But yeah, he did. He showed up at a good time in your life.
He did. Him and Derek showed up and they put me on their podcast about the Hope Center and everything like that. And he's a very unique individual. We're all unique, but he walked up to me one day and he said, God put it on my heart. I'm supposed to write the screenplay for your movie. Yeah. And I'm like, who does that?
Yeah. What movie are you talking about, man?
Where does this guy come from, And so, and then we started talking about it and we met a few times and he started getting involved in the Hope Center, really big in the Hope Center. Him and Derek are very involved in the Hope Center. He's on our board and he's a mentor and he's one of our leaders. He speaks at all of our Hope Center events to the kids. Yeah. They love him. But anyway, he started writing the screenplay. Right. And I would get these text messages saying, okay, when you were this age, what were you doing? What about your parent? And I'm getting these text messages, right? Mm-hmm. And he's writing the screenplay to a movie. And it's like, I still haven't even fathomed it all yet. It's still processing in my brain. And so not long ago, like a couple of days ago, he was like, he finished.
That's pretty amazing.
And we got just one little fine-tuned thing to do, and I've got some cool songs I want to throw in there. But the screenplay is done.
Like Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah,
for sure on that one, right?
There's a band
That's our age group back there. Journey never fails.
Yeah, there's a band called The Warning that has one called This Hell You Call a Dream. Yeah. And there's some cool songs that there's a couple Nickelback songs. There's some good songs that I think would go really good with it. Mm-hmm. Like I Couldn't Make It as a Poor Man Stealing,
sure.
And so as we continue to go, God keeps leading us and everything. So we're going to have a big celebration here pretty soon about the screenplay being done and things like that. And we're hoping God leads us to.
By the way, he don't know that we're doing the show today. I was going to text him and tell him, and ahead of time, we're going to be talking about you a lot today. Well, but I thought we'd just organically let it happen.
When a man shows up like that and is very selfless and is very humble. And that's, in my opinion, that's all God. That is not, it's just something that's meant to be.
Sure.
And, the goal is with everything that I do, the goal with the Hope Center, the goal with the book, and the goal with everything is about to be able to leave something.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to leave it, better than we were. And the book does a lot of good when I give it to them and they're in treatment and they're at rock bottom. I mean, they're hurting. Some of them don't have family. They don't have any clothes. They don't have anything. And when I give them the book, first of all, they're like, he just gave me something worth money. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I take blow pops and airheads up to the church and I kind of bait. I use that kind of like bait, but then they read the book and I get text messages. I don't know, your book made a difference, or I'm still reading it. I can't put it down, or just little things like that. Money can't touch that stuff. I mean,
no,
money and power can't touch.
Well, I think it goes back to the agenda of the person. Like, like they figure out, like, this dude ain't want nothing from me. He just want me to be good. Sure. He want me to be happy and healthy. And I think Chris is the same way. I know I surround myself. And look, Stacy, this is true enough. Like, we find these people late in life sometimes. Like, they just follow us, out of the blue. Some of my truly best friends in my life I've met in the last decade, and I'm like, they're like family.
When I teach people on addiction, I say, when I'm teaching and I'm trying to get them to understand things, I say, when you get clean, all of a sudden, God's going to lead you to people, and you don't get to pick them.
They just show up.
I tell them, I say, if I could have picked who came down here tonight, I would have picked a much better looking group, and they all start laughing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. But the point is, I say the message is the same. You don't get to pick who God sends into your life. I didn't ask God to send Coach Camp into my life.
He just showed up.
I asked him to send help.
Well, and that guy said that he got sent by him. So,
yeah. And so when I tell the patients that, I say, guess what? I have parents that call me all the time, and they say, will you talk to my kid? And I'm like, well, you got your seminary degree and a master's degree, and you got a $500,000 house. Why do you need the meat? Why do you need an old attic? And they repeatedly they say, my kid will listen to you.
Yeah, because you've been through it.
And so I look at the crowd and I say, so why am I telling you that story? And they look at me kind of funny, and I say, because you're me and I'm you. Yeah. And God's going to lead you to people that only you can help.
That's right.
And it's powerful because I'm making them the star of the show once again. God's called them. God's chosen them. And if they can stay clean, they're going to have the life of their dreams.
And that's the whole battle, right? Keeping clean. So this goes back to educating parents and loved ones who are involved in their lives, not to be enablers, but to be just helpful in their recovery process.
Yeah. The goal is unconditional love without enabling.
That's right. Yeah.
And if they have to go to jail, sometimes that has to happen.
I know it, man. I've got a buddy of mine went through this, and he's like, man, I told him, I said, look, I know you don't want him in there, but I said, I think maybe his freedom maybe was the biggest downslide. I mean,
money. I mean,
all that stuff, right?
A lot of people are like, I have to have my job. I have to have work. And I say, well, as long as you're using, all that the job's doing is buying you more dope.
That's it. And then on top of that, sometimes it's the safest place for him to be. You know what I mean?
It is.
I mean, honestly, it's
an intervention from.
Yeah. The parent that I was dealing with, he's a great friend of mine. He said, man, I know he ain't going to get in a wreck or hurt someone or himself. Like, I know that. Now, the drugs I can't control, but he said that part, I know where he's there. I know where he's at. I know where, I can sleep tonight maybe, just not worried about it.
That's what the mom told me that I talked to this morning about 6 a.m. And she sent me a message last night. I've been talking to her for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And she's like, I finally slept last night.
Oh, wow. Because he was in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. That's crazy.
It ravages families, finances. And
oh, man. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're getting second mortgages for attorneys.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's just crazy, man. I mean, again, you do amazing stuff, in the movie. Like, so we get onto that. Chris finishes the screenplay. And so at this point, have you read it?
I have.
Okay. So what were
we have one little thing in the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
And how he started it out.
Yeah.
But he did a wonderful job. He read the books.
Yeah.
And so he just did it by
what he heard. Yeah.
And really exciting. Some of it's really fun, especially when I was like out in the middle of the night and riding, doing crazy stuff. I mean, there's some really neat stories exciting stories.
Yeah.
So it'll be very exciting. But
it's not all doom and gloom. Obviously, it's there's some high points in life,
and the whole thing is about the comeback. The whole thing is about God reached down and saved this poor lost this guy that was just done, numb, and God helped me turn me around. But the whole message is that He didn't do that for me. he did it for what he can do through me.
Yeah.
And
you're working hard at it now.
Now that I get to do all this stuff, it's better than any
drug you ever been on.
Better than any high I've ever had.
Yeah.
Being led by the Spirit every day and walking in what I believe the kingdom living inside of us and having that uncontaminated with chemicals it's the journey of a lifetime. I mean, it's like Indiana Jones every day.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I think the first scene needs to be opened up to Stacy, 7 years old, with a Marlboro Red hanging out of his mouth. As lip
and a Harley Davidson shirt and long hair.
Something, right? Yeah, there's something cool like that to go, to see where you're at today. You know what I mean? In life, so it might be kind of funny, but man, that's awesome, Chris. Thank you. You've been an inspiration to me as well.
Sir.
He kind of is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think I've told that story to you before about how I ran up on him one day. We met again. I was just delivering some rock to his house, and I, got to know him a little bit. He's hard not to get to know, by the way. Yeah. So he's gonna meet everybody, but.
Our kids love him. Whenever we go to an event, and he's not there yet, the kids are like,
"Where's he at? When's he coming?
Is he coming?"
Yeah, he's just so energetic. People, if you haven't checked out his show, go to Motivated with Coach Camp or Cannonballing. They both, him and Derek, do a show of that too. Motivated with Coach Camp, same SRP Studios here in Hernando, Mississippi is where we're located at. For people that don't know, I mean, there's a lot of different DeSoto counties, so I always want to make sure I tell people that. But overall, great dude. Been an inspiration to me. One of my first show, I think the second show or third show I might have done with him, just because nobody ever asked about you, Chris. I want to do a show about you, So he's like, well, that's kind of cool. We'll do that. So maybe one day we'll do another one with him, but he can talk about his screenplay skills that he's got all of a sudden got up. So, look, that's, and I think that's another thing I was going to talk about people like himself that are much like you, they're involved in a lot of stuff is because they're called to do it, just like with his, Ironman stuff. It's inspirational, like when he does the running and stuff.
I don't know how
he's cheering people on. He is a total cheerleader in the word of it all, and like he didn't know when I come in to do my podcast that day that I was like reeling for an idea of how do I get the message around more for my program and others, I took it all in and I'm like, well, I trust Chris. And I trust his choice and producers here. If he feels good about this guy, I think I may do it, So it worked out well, but here we are, And so he's kind of the reason why I started doing it, because I seen what he was doing. I thought it was very well done.
Well, you're doing wonderful things. I mean, having people on like Miss Ann, Sheriff Tuggle, you're kind of doing what I mentioned earlier. Is people need to know.
Yeah. So getting the word out about our local community.
They don't know. People don't know all this stuff.
We were talking about, and I told you some of the other people I'm having on. Jake and his wife are going to come on, and I don't want to mention her name because I didn't talk to her, but I talked to him.
Wonderful organization.
Yeah, wonderful organization.
I trust them with everything I am.
Yeah. And they sit on the House of Grace board as well. Very well thought of and liked, and also a recovery person himself. Like his wife again was like yours. She came along and found him after his thing, after his problems in life, and probably helped him stay on that path, So now they're having a beautiful little family, and I'm gonna
dynamic duo, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then like all these things, I had a young man on earlier. People are gonna go, why was he on the show? Because he helps kids. Like he takes horses and he teaches them how to, trust them. And it's that thing, like I was telling him, I thought Miss Ann had told me one time she uses horse therapy for some of her ladies at her home. It's very therapeutic, so he's doing it from he don't even know what he's doing to really help, but he knows it's important and he's just doing it because he wants to, and he's young. Like he shouldn't even.
That equine therapy is a huge thing. It helps a lot of veterans. It helps them with the PTSD. It's amazing.
And maybe the ladies too that was using, like Miss Ann was talking about, the PTSD that they have from the drugs and alcohol, because there's no telling what they've been through in the trauma. Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of their life has been very transactional, and we don't know the deep, dark stories, and only they can live with that and deal with it. So
when they start sharing and talking about it, and people start loving them, then they heal.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a long time, I think. Some people are quick to it. They're like, hey, that was just there. Like some of them can kick it. Some of them struggle with the rest of their lives.
It took me when I first got clean, it probably took me 2 years to get any kind of self-esteem back. It took me probably 4 or 5 years. Even till to this day, I still struggle with thinking I'm worthy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not good enough for
and people go, you're crazy, Stacy. And then you go, but man, that's really how I feel. Like, I mean,
I really feel like I'm not worthy. And I have a great boss now. His name's Alex Knott, and he's my director of business development. He's younger than me, and he's a really neat guy. And he's my boss, and he understands. And I tell him, I don't ever feel like I'm good enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And he's like, "Well, I hope you don't feel that from me," because he does. They don't think that way, but it's one of my character defects, from being damaged over those years. But he helps me navigate it, and he believes in me in spite of all that.
Sure.
And
I think it's just we're second guessing our value. Sometimes to people, like, are we overdoing it, or maybe I need to slow down? I don't think so. I think you just need to keep being Stacy Dodd.
I had some people in the church I was in when I first started doing all this, and I was starting to get all this energy, and I'm like, where is this coming from? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm a why person. I want to know why.
Yeah.
And if it's not real, I'm not going to waste my time with it. But I was first in the church, first getting involved in church and service and all those things, and I'm like, why are all these men up here? Why are they so happy? They're up here working for free. I'm like, what are they doing? And I started serving, and I started getting that passion, that fire, and that energy. And I'm like, I had people tell me, you got to slow down. you got to stop. You're going to get hurt. They were telling me I was going to get hurt. And I didn't.
Right.
And 15 years later, 20 years later, I'm glad I didn't. You know what I mean? You got to watch when people are trying to block you and stop you.
Sometimes you wonder, like what that's about. And then I just say be you. If I don't want to be around it, then I just don't be around it.
I'm going to do what God's calling me to do.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I've learned also recently that he doesn't really care how I feel about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if I'm tired. He doesn't care if I'm, struggling.
Well, love you or hate you, I think the one thing everybody can say is you have helped a lot of people. I think you know that. I mean, I don't know anybody that dislikes Stacy Dodd, to be honest with you. I don't know one single individual I've talked to. And I've talked to a bunch of them about you. You come up a lot in conversations, and they're all like, that dude's amazing. Like, he's always doing something. So thank you for all the service with all the stuff you do. And then, like, the time that you take to write books and try to share your story. And sometimes people think, well, it's self-involved. It's not. It's like another way of teaching others, because you've been through it. You want to show them the path to not go down, and if there is a path, you've been down it, then you can see there's a path to recovery, and you can stay that way.
I tell those kids all the time at the Hope Center, I say, I need to teach you all this stuff, because I'm about to hit the rocking chair pretty soon, and I'm going to be watching you do it, because it's all going to be yours one day.
That's right, and maybe they can teach, like we talked about, with Kenneth McKinney, your co-founder of the Hope Center, is yeah, you guys are an aging group. You know what I mean? I know you'll be there
I'm
forever.
I'm going to be 58 next week.
But, I mean, not old, but like, you want to retire at some point in time probably, but you got to put it in good hands. When
Another 10 years, I'm just going to be a grumpy old man.
Nah, I don't see it, man. I think you'll still be out there trying to help people. I don't see you laying down. I think that about myself, too. I think, like, I'll work till I die, because I'm going to have to.
We can rest later, yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
every time I ask God, like, I'm tired, which one of these things do you want me to give up? He's like, back to work. Back to work.
Don't even question it. Just go do it, man. Yeah. So he's put it on your shoulders to be.
Makes life worthwhile, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, look, I know we talked about a lot of stuff today. We covered a lot of things. We talked about the books, the screenplay, and the movie potentially. Have you got any insight to a movie? You got somebody that you're going to talk to about that?
I do have a few people. A really good friend of mine, Rob Smith, Rob Rock. That we used to go to church together years ago, and his dad was a great friend of mine. And when I first started doing Celebrate Recovery, his dad was a wonderful man, and I met his dad before I met him, but he has a thing called 501, really, really great thing where it's called DeSoto Arts Institute. Yeah. And so he's my first choice. Okay. I'm working on him with some details. He's kind of had some things going on, and I did too. And so we're getting ready to, I'm going to talk to him about it. Sure. I think he mentors kids through making movies. Sure. And screenplays and doing different things like that.
He's really good at an elaborate movie. I mean, it can be something just.
Well, no, I think he'll do it good.
Good.
He does the what's it called? The Memphis where they do the contest every year, the Memphis Arts Festival. I can't remember the name.
Maybe that's right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, he's really good at what he does, and he's been in the finalists for a lot of those contests and everything like that. But he's got a whole group of folks, and they're at South Point Church, sure, in the back of the building back there, and it's called DeSoto Arts Institute. So he's one of my first ones to reach out to. I've got another couple of prospects that I think will be like
Derek Me's show.
Yeah, I got some people. I got some people lined up, but it would be it's going to happen, and and whenever it hits the theaters, it's going to be a beautiful thing, and that's another one of those things I can leave this world.
I got to ask you a question real quick. When it happens, who's going to play Stacy Dodd?
Good question.
If you say Brad Pitt, because you said I thought Brad Pitt was walking in there earlier.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, I would say Machine Gun Kelly, but I don't really like him.
Yeah. He might have a couple of feet on you too, Stacy. I don't know, but yeah. And then you got a coach. Coach, it's got to be played by somebody who's.
It'll be kind of like Indiana Jones adventure type movie, like there's a lot of high intensity scenes, but then there's also a lot of like spiritual things. You know what I mean?
That's cool. You're young enough, you can play yourself. You know,
I'd have to get some more hair put back on there.
Well, they have that now.
I've actually got a couple of kids. We've got some kids in the Hope Center that are kids, and there's a few that have already said, I want to play in the movie.
That's cool. And, like the young version of Stacy.
There's a young
You're
kid.
probably gonna be like 3 or 4 versions of Stacy, I'm sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
There's a young kid named Gage. He has really long hair, and I've been looking at him. I'm like, man, he would probably be really good at it.
Yeah, got some chop. Hey, maybe he's got the right stuff. I know that Derek shows up and you allow him to do stuff like interviews and things, and that helps with their courage and also being involved, and it's certainly with the public speaking thing, it's a new thing for them. Talking on a mic's a little different. The
goal in 2026 for the conferences is to have the kids speaking. So right here you have Chad Wicker, you have State Representative Rodney Hall.
Yeah, talk about that when it's coming up, by the way, here pretty soon.
Tina Tatum, Sheriff Trey Price, Kenneth McKinney, Annabelle from the Palmer home.
Yep.
And so the goal is they're watching all these last conferences, but the goal is next year they're going to start doing the intro. They're going to start doing EMC, and they're going to start doing some speaking.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so we're showing them how to do it. But I mean, these folks are amazing. I mean, Tina Tatum is just amazing. She's an amazing disciple of Christ, I call her.
Yeah.
She's an incredible lady, incredible role model for the whole community, not just as an entrepreneur, but also as a Christian. She's an incredible lady. And, Representative Rodney Hall, Mr. McKinney, of course, is a pastor and principal. And then you have Annabelle, which is just amazing. And so Coach Camp. And so they're learning from the best, and they were chosen on purpose.
Oh, yeah. You handpicked them, right?
I did.
So that's an amazing story. I mean, you just have good people surrounding you to do everything.
Yeah. So the goal of the Hope Center is creating opportunities for students to excel, equipping future leaders to be valuable assets, and investing in our community for lifelong growth. Yeah, that's the three top why we do the Hope Center.
Now, what day is that one coming up?
May 31st. It's going to be at 1 Memphis Street in Hernando from 10 to 2. Everything's free. Seating is limited, so there's only 150 seats. Yeah. So register quick.
And before you leave today, and I hope it does work out, our friend Jim Lasapio, who owns Junior's and Dale's and Mesquite Chop House, I talked to him about you, and he said, absolutely, set it up. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I've been looking for him.
He actually owns Memphis, or the place you're having the thing. But he probably
Memphis?
Yeah.
Mesquite Barbecue or Mesquite Chop House?
Yeah, he owns that.
I've heard maybe some stuff on Bill Street.
Yeah, he's got some rum boogie on Bill Street. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But Junior's down in Hernando, Mississippi, and then he just bought Dale's, the old 59-year-old. Yeah. I had lunch there the other day. Catfish was amazing. Derek went with me. I had lunch
there on Sunday.
Derek went with me. It was great, by the way.
It's nice, looking good in there.
Man, they've changed it, haven't they? I mean, they really updated it. It's clean.
And it needed it. It's a wonderful place.
Well, I think that thing started out as like a little box you drove through and picked up some food like 60 years ago, And he was telling me, there's a couple of ladies still cooking in there that started with that guy.
Yeah, the lady that was waiting on us, she said, we're so happy because we've been here 29 years. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah. He said he's got a lady that's cooking in there that started when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was 60 years ago. And she's
still
a
wonderful place.
Yeah, it is.
People love Dale.
He's trying to keep the same, and he's putting a drive-through in. And I know the city of South Haven, he told me they're working very good with him as far as reinventing that place, and keeping it as a... Well, I mean, in some ways, it's historical. There's no doubt about it.
It needs to be declared a historical.
I mean, really, that family built something that stayed around for longer than anything I know of.
They're doing a lot. The South Haven Chamber is working a lot, with the city and different people, but they have big plans for that West End district.
Yeah, they have to rebuild it, man.
They have a whole
clean it up, build it up. Because people talk about how it's getting left behind. You hear the East Side, West Side thing. And
those architects have some pretty impressive plans right now.
They do. I think it's going to be amazing. It's just things age, man. Like, guys, I'm telling you, there's parts of town just get older. The housing gets older, the buildings get older, and they expand and grow, and focus becomes in different areas to really,
So South Point Church, which is my church, and great church.
Where is it located at?
They just got declared a historical monument. I can't remember what the name is, but they just got the big bronze plaque out front, and the city recognized them because it used to be Lollipops and skate.
Yeah, that's over by the movie theater.
It used to be the movie theater, and they're turning the back of that into a community center. It's really amazing things happening over there.
That's a big facility.
It's massive.
So when y'all got the movie theater originally, I thought, man, that is amazing. Like, they got stadium seating in there. They can do a lot of stuff. And I thought, well, if they ever give up the bowling and the skating. That's going to be a phenomenal facility for somebody to take over and do something. So the church is doing that now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Pastor Craig and the team up there, they're amazing people, and they're very welcoming. A lot of it's one of those things in the community that works really well with everything that I do or we do. So Woodland Recovery Center, all of our patients go there. We put them in a van, take them down there, and they feel very welcomed and feel loved. And a lot of times
I have some good friends that go there.
A lot of times they end up serving there. They end up getting baptized there. All these great things happen there.
A lot of members there. It's a big church. Yeah.
They have Celebrate Recovery on Thursday nights, which is the recovery group there. And but it's just a really welcoming place.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We don't look down on people. It's a
I think my friend Jimmy Goff, I don't think he minded me telling you because he loves the church there. I don't know if you know them. Yeah. So him and Ann. And man, when he found that place, he's like, man, I got to tell you, Neil, you're doing amazing stuff. Maybe you need to get to know them. Well, ironically, we start getting to know each other because they're big supporters of what I do with Feed My Lambs and all that stuff, and have been from the time I've been involved. And his whole family comes and helps, and so it's just small community. Even though it's big, there's a couple 100,000 people who live here in DeSoto County, which is ever growing, which is amazing to even say that. Actually, that's a lot of people.
I've never experienced in my lifetime. I'm so glad God led me to Mississippi and led me to DeSoto County. I've never had so much support from mayors and podcasters, people that have all these things. It's like the chief of police and going to lunch with me. I mean, it's like, this is crazy.
And having the sheriff on your side at the drop of a hat.
And they know about my past, and they still because
they know that's where they're trying to get their people to. Like they don't want to. I mean, it's a business in a way that like they got to get the criminals off the street, but the ones that are truly like, I never feel like alcohol and drugs unless you just aren't learning. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel locking you up from your freedom. That's like a little extreme, especially when you go to prison. But I think it takes that sometimes to get people's attention. Like, we're only doing it to help you. I know it sounds bad. Like my dad used to tell me, I'm only whooping you to help you.
Yeah, hurt you worse than does.
It's the same thing. It's the same principle. Some people can get a slap on the wrist and be like, okay, I'm not doing that no more. And there's some people you can hit them straight in the head with a sledgehammer. They're not getting the message.
A perfect example of what you just said is whenever Sheriff Tuggle and the school resource officers in DeSoto County. So they're posted in the schools. And they're there all day, every day protecting the kids.
DeSoto County sheriffs.
Trey Price is one of the ones that lead that. Mr. Curtis is another one. Really big. They all big. But when they come to our facility where there's 80 addicts in recovery, all right, and they're playing against them in volleyball and cooking out together and having a good, fun time. I took them on a tour, and when they saw the patients, they're like, man, you think they want to play some volleyball? But only, that's not, you don't hear of that.
No, you don't.
You don't hear of 30 sheriffs going to a recovery center and playing volleyball.
Because most of them, they've had them in jail or put them in jail.
They have. And it was funny. They sent me a message at 6 a.m. and they said, we're up here exercising, getting ready for the game. I said, you better. You better be ready. Cool. And we had one guy, he was spiking the ball. I mean, it was just wonderful. And now we're setting up our next game.
That's great, man. So there again, it goes back to community service. It's and fellowship. Leaders, it's fellowship.
Executive level leaders like Tuggle.
Yeah, I mean, how many times are you going to get to see him come out? Like he puts himself, not just him, but I know others do. Like he's one of the ones, because we both know him, that injects themselves into very low, if you will, situation. Like he'll go to the school and have lunch with a kid. He don't need the cameras there. Matter of fact, we don't even know he's doing that stuff half the time. Like it's not for show. They catch him sometimes, but that's not really what he's doing it for. I mean, the man truly loves the area and the county.
And Musselwhite's another perfect example of that. He put an article. They did an article in the newspaper about probably 4 years ago. And he was like, he did an article on me and Vertava Health. Because I had met with him in his office and I said, listen, I want to help people. I gave him my cards and everything. And he did an article and he said, who better to help them than someone who's been through it? And he said, he even gives us a cell phone number, and so that's in my book. I mean, the article that Mayor Musselwhite, I cherish that. I mean, I've got it in my briefcase and everything. And
it's amazing.
I've got like 20 copies of that paper. It was so special to me that he would honor us in that way. Not just me, but the recovery centers.
Absolutely. Well, he knows it's a valuable asset to his community, because they know the details of what's going on in the community.
Well, those first responders and the CIT officers, I do get to do in-services with them, and they do come to our facility. They even bring the drug dog to our facility.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And so we work together, but when you have leaders like Debbie King from the chamber, Mayor Musselwhite with this leading the city, Sheriff Tuggle, when you have these kind of executive level leaders, and then you have people like Chick-fil-A and the Memphis Grizzlies, and you put all that together, you have a really powerful network of people that love people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a big part of that. And you built an amazing network of folks. And I think that Derek called me That's kind of my new nickname. What do you call me? Derek?
Community Cupid.
Community Cupid.
Community what?
Cupid.
Okay.
I was like, man, I am not.
I think we need a logo, Derek.
I don't even know what that means,
We
Derek.
need a logo.
So he starts telling me like the way the show works, all of a sudden I got him connecting, people that I know, and that's really my focus. I'm not trying to do anything other than just connect people and bring awareness. And I can't be at all the functions of the people I know, right? Like, so you got a thing going this weekend, and then Miss Annabelle's got something, and then there's something I'm doing for the car shows because I'm getting to give away a car, so I'm having to do the most I can with the time I have and just connecting people, sending a telephone number, Sheriff Tugler asked me about something, if I knew somebody that could do this for him. And I'm like, yeah, let me find that person for you, because it's just one of those things where I think that's kind of a networking type thing. And I don't need nothing from it. I just love the fact we're all coming together as a community. And I found it out really organically just because I was trying to help this little program in Walls, Mississippi, feed some kids. And I just started finding all these new amazing people in the community that were doing similar things, And
you should see how excited the kids get when Derek is out at our events and he's got the microphone and they're doing
yeah. They're definitely, they're all over him. Like,
they are.
Yeah. I seen a couple of them where he actually let them hold the mic. And
we had the cow. We had the Chick-fil-A cow doing interviews last week, and it was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, all that stuff. Again, community service, help your neighbors, get involved. It can just be from spreading the word. You don't even have to really get involved to a financial level or even personally. You can just spread the word and talk about it at the nail shop or you're getting hair did or whatever you're doing.
That's right.
Not Stacy's case because he's like me. We don't get our hair did because we ain't got no hair. And Derek, by the way, Derek's shaving his head. You and me are just losing ours. That's right. So, but Derek is a straight up shaver. I got a feeling he's got some luscious, long curls somewhere.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. He's just hiding them. Yeah, it's probably easy maintenance, But anyway, get back to the what? What are you laughing at, man? Yeah, I am. I'm totally.
No, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's great. So anyway, we're but as we go forward, just get involved in the community, and you're trying to find more and more like-minded people to get involved, somehow impact the community. And I think you and I share that, as well as Chris and whoever else. We're always just trying to find that new person. Not to name drop a lot. We can talk about all these big names, but the ones that really, truly, we don't know them. They're out there looking for a way to get in to help.
I'll tell you some other a huge thing in our community is Brown Baptist Church.
I've heard that too. There's other people. Yeah. I've heard that name a lot, and that they're very diverse, a very diverse church.
He'll help anybody. He doesn't care what church you go to.
And what's his name?
Pastor Bartholomew Orr.
Okay.
And then his chief operations officer, Eric Williams, is a mentor at the Hope Center. He's on our board of directors. He's I think the chairman at the South Haven Chamber Board of Directors, which I'm also on. But we became friends about 3 years ago, and Brown was our founding sponsor at the Hope Center.
You told me that.
I didn't go to Brown Baptist Church.
Right.
I knew Pastor Orr 6 minutes, and he helped me.
He was all in.
He didn't pray about it. He was amazing. In, and but they do so many things in the community. They just got given a new church in Whitehaven, but they don't. The thing about him is he doesn't care what church you go to.
Yeah.
If he helps people.
That's right.
And God blesses him immensely.
Right.
I mean, he is like. We don't have time, and there's not enough time in the day to say all the things that he does. But when he helped me years ago and didn't even know me, I've never lost that.
Sure,
what that did inside my heart.
Absolutely.
And I've never lost that day, and I've never forgot where it came from.
Yeah,
that was God.
Absolutely
working through Mr. Pastor Orr.
Well, it's connected somehow.
Oh, and you think I got energy? You haven't seen anything.
Well, I think
that guy's got energy.
I haven't met him, but I've heard about him, and I've heard about their amazing organization, and I look forward to meeting him.
Eric's the same way, and Eric came alongside us at the Hope Center, and I mean, they've done everything from giving us $1,000, putting us on WMCV Channel 3.
Sure.
We had our facility, we had our program, our leadership conference at their facility, which saved us a lot of money. And I mean, it's just like whatever's mine is yours, and whatever's yours is mine.
Sure, you need those connections, man, like to make it go around. Yeah. They want to help. Sometimes they don't know how to help, so like they got it when they find somebody like you that's really trying to do things. They're like, we need to latch onto him because he's our eyes and ears for like, what can we do next? And it's essential. Like I just how we met, both of us met Chris just out of the blue, and he connected us. Like I probably would have never met you if it hadn't been for that connection, so
it's
just
intentional.
Works. I think so. Sometimes, man. And again, thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, thank you for what you're doing by bringing awareness and just the heart that you have. And I noticed a long time ago, you don't do it you're not doing it for what's in it for you.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of people that God uses.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My mom always said, I didn't know it, but I was doing God's work. And my brother says that too. And I'm like, okay, if y'all say so. Yeah. But because I am advocating for I guess the disenfranchised a lot. It's kind of my whole
Just
focus,
love.
It is love. It's no agenda. There's just love, man. And whether it be religious beliefs or whatever, man, you can be that without being involved in any church. I try to tell people that too. So.
I believe in the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And I believe Jesus is who he says he is, and I believe in the Holy Spirit. The denominational, I honestly believe that churches are the greatest representation of division.
Sure. Yeah, they can drive a wedge.
Because there's like 400, maybe, I don't know, 200-300 churches in DeSoto County.
Yeah,
and they don't work together.
That's a lie. And none of them work. I found that out the hard way when I was trying to vet the church I helped. They're amazing, by the way. Minor Memorial Methodist Church in Walls. They're amazing.
I did stop by there on your.
Did you?
I did.
Did you talk to him?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. That's great, man. Pastor Sam's a great guy. So,
but they need to work together more.
Yeah, they do. I wound up because I felt like the program I got involved with was like, well, they're just missing a couple of things here. Like they don't have any money because nobody knows about them. And so when I started talking to these other, I thought, well, who's the first person you go to? The church next door. And then the church next door, they got no interest, sir, in helping each other. And that blew my mind. It really blew my mind. I thought, well, what are we doing then? Like, what is it about? So that's a subject for another day. But I am not opposed to shaming them.
Well, to me, I don't care what church you go to. And honestly, I don't care where you get help at. I just want to know that you're okay.
Absolutely.
I think our spiritual connection is vital to everything we do in life. I think if you believed it a little bit different than someone else, it doesn't mean you should be separated.
No, man, you can differ. You have to.
We mess it up. We mess it all up. It's kind of like diversity is such a beautiful thing when hate's not involved.
That's exactly right. Like people don't even talk about race and stuff if you get away with the hate.
Honestly, I think we need to just from now on, we don't need to call people black and white anymore. Yeah. You need to call me by my name.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It doesn't need to be white Stacy.
No,
it needs
exactly.
to be that's Stacy Dodd.
That's exactly right.
And we need to get rid of all that.
I think so too. If you don't bring it up, it don't exist. Like it'll find its way out of it. It's just we keep in the news. It's our media. It's mostly our media.
It is. The media is horrible.
Because I believe whatever color you are, there's a lot of great people out there. They don't see it the same way. I mean, they probably wouldn't even bring it up because at the time you and I know when we grew up kids, there was desegregation took place right before we started kind of getting of age. It wasn't a huge issue. By the time we got into school, there wasn't a big deal still. But then when the media come around in the 90s, man, and especially in the last 10 years,
they maximize it and
they talk about it.
They do. And in my second book, Outcast to Executive, I write specifically in there that racism is never about a person's skin color. It's about the condition of their heart.
Yeah, for sure.
And, some of the most racist people I've ever met in the world were white. Yeah. Some of the most racist people I ever met in the world were black.
Yeah, that's true.
And some of the greatest people I ever met in the world were politicians. Some of the worst people I ever met were
absolutely.
Same with pastors and CEOs and all that kind of
absolutely,
stuff.
all that stuff. But anything else, sir, you want to talk about today before we cut out of here?
Just want to say thank you, and thank you for just your heart and for what you do. And I know God's got big things in store. And thank you for exposing the good in this world.
Man, I'm trying. I appreciate it.
There's enough people exposing the bad, but you're exposing the good, and I think there's great things in store, and we have a great community to be.
Man, I wish you the best of luck on all this endeavors you got, because you're still a phenomenon. I don't care what some people say. Yeah. You're out here all the day. Every day doing something. I bet you wake up in the mornings, you're hit. You don't even drink coffee, do you?
Oh, lots.
Do you drink? Okay.
My favorite coffee is Starbucks French roast.
Oh, okay. Well,
Kiko's.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I thought maybe you were just running on.
A lot of people say, "How do you get rest?" And I say, "Believe it or not, I'm usually in bed by 8:30 or 9.
That's probably smart.
I'm up by 4.
Yeah, that's you get good sleep then.
Get up, do my emailing and my work, and
so you are getting a good night's sleep.
I am.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the key to that.
I actually got to expand my territory a while back, and he moved me from one position into where now I have 40 counties and hundreds and hundreds of accounts. And so Mr. McKinney is always giving me spiritual wisdom and everything. Yeah. And I said, I don't know why all that happened. He said, God had to get you out of that office.
Yeah. Well, you're out now.
He expanded my territory. So now I have a mobile command unit, my car.
You're everywhere.
Used to be my bike.
Yeah,
years
gotcha,
ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, you told me a long time ago you didn't have a license for a long time. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
When I was 33,
story.
I was riding around on a bicycle.
That's crazy, man. And that's all because you were in recovery and you were trying to fight your way back to being able to have a license and things of that nature. So
that was my mobile office.
It was at that time,
I have
but
a
you've moved
different
on from
office
that. Yeah, absolutely.
I have air conditioning in my
air
office
conditioning.
now.
That's
Bose
essentially
stereo
importing
system.
around here. That's for sure. Bose surround sound. Well, look, man, thank you for everything again. Appreciate you coming on today, and we're talking about all the amazing stuff you do. Remember, guys, be looking for something to pop up on this movie deal. I mean, I can see Stacy as the next Hollywood superstar, man. I mean, I can see it. Yeah,
It might come.
Yeah, absolutely. We may have to put a little wig on you here and there through the stages of your career. Did you have more hair a few years ago?
Oh, I had long hair. You would be surprised. I'll send you a picture.
Oh, okay. I like that. So,
ever since I was a young kid, I had really long hair. So,
well, yeah, most of us did when we were young.
yeah,
until
my
we got
dad would
old.
be happy now. I don't know if you saw that thing. He said this kid Dad was trying to get him to do something, and his kid said, "Well, Dad, Moses had long hair and Jesus had long hair," and the guy said, "Yeah," and they walked everywhere they went.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't have that's pretty good, actually. So
my dad would be happy. I wish the only thing I wish is my parents could see all this.
Oh yeah, man. But I think they are. I mean, at the end of the day, I always think about my mother's passing and my father, and I know they're seeing it.
Hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Just
it does.
one day with
yeah,
them.
it does, man. Shoot, any time extra would have been great. So we're fighting through that, and we're just lucky to have had them in our lives. Truthfully,
right.
It's going to happen to us all.
Their
Stacey.
example has so much to do with everything.
I think so. Absolutely. You're a product of your environment a lot of times, and sometimes you take it to the next level. And I think that's probably what you're doing. I'm assuming that's what you're doing. So, but man, again, thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it. Everybody in the listening audience today. If I was so happy to have, I'd be very happy to have a few folks listening to this. But I want to tell everybody thanks again for watching today, and of course, always want to remember that we're just here primarily to spotlight the charities, nonprofits, people doing amazing things in our community, businesses, otherwise. So that's really what the platform is at. Focus on Facebook. If you're watching this on Facebook, give me a like. People don't like things. I'm getting a lot of views, and I appreciate the views, man. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes just a little bitty like would be nice, or a little comment like, I love Stacy Dodd. That'd be great too. Yeah, something like that. But a follow or something like that's really cool. We're also on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Apple. You can catch us on all those. And but to view the episode, it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube. And again, guys, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.